You know that moment you catch someone looking at you from across the room, and the second your eyes meet, they dart away. Your heart does a little jump, and your brain just goes into overdrive trying to figure out what that meant? Well, in this explainer, we are going to crack that exact code, the silent, unspoken language of attraction. We've all been there, right? Stuck in that loop of uncertainty. You feel like there's a vibe, a little spark, but you're also terrified of getting it wrong and making things super awkward. Honestly, that guessing game is just exhausting. But what if I told you that while you're waiting around for them to say something, their body has already spilled all the secrets? It's true. There are these specific, almost invisible cues that our bodies give off, all backed by psychology, that show interest long before anyone says a word. Let's learn how to read them. Okay, so where do we even start? It all begins with the eyes. Now, look, everyone knows that eye contact is a big deal. But it's not just about them looking at you. The real secret is in the pattern of where they're looking. So think about it like this. In a normal, totally friendly chat, our eyes tend to move in a little triangle. From their eye to their other eye, maybe down to their nose. That's the social gaze. But when attraction is in the mix, that triangle gets bigger. The gaze drops lower, down to the mouth, or maybe even glances at the body before it comes back up. This little dance is so telling. First, you get the eye-to-eye connection. Then, for just a split second, their gaze drops down to your lips or your chest. And then, boom, it's right back up to your eyes. That tiny little shift, that's a massive nonverbal signal. And get this, here's one they literally cannot fake, their pupils. If you're in a well-lit place, but their pupils are huge when they're looking at you, that's their brain on autopilot. It's an involuntary hit of dopamine and arousal. They have absolutely zero control over it. It's a pure physical reaction. That eye thing is powerful, for sure, but it's really just the beginning. The signal gets so much clearer when we zoom out and look at the entire body. We can kind of control our facial expressions, but our body, it tends to tell the truth. There is this awesome concept in psychology called fronting, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's when someone subconsciously points their front, their torso, their belly, their feet, directly at the person they're most interested in. It's their body's way of saying, you're the one with my full attention right now. And this is the part you really gotta watch for. Someone could have their head turned, talking to someone else in a group, but if their torso and feet are still angled toward you, that's where their real focus is. Their body's literally prioritizing you, even when their conversation isn't. Seriously, never forget this. We get so hung up on faces, but our feet, they are the most honest part of the body. They tend to point where we want to go. So when you're looking for signs, always check the feet. Okay, so their body is pointed your way, they're giving you their attention. What's next? Well, this is where a real sense of connection starts to show. When we feel a strong rapport with someone, our brain does this fascinating thing where it tries to build a bridge, which leads to something called mirroring. Mirroring is just what it sounds like. We unconsciously start to copy the body language of the person we're talking to. If they lean forward, we lean forward. If they cross their legs, we find ourselves crossing our legs a second later. It's our brain's subconscious way of screaming, "Hey, I'm like you. We're in sync here." And the details are everything. It's not always big, obvious stuff. It can be as subtle as reaching for your drink at the exact same time they do. Or you might notice you've started talking at the same pace or with the same energy level. When you see this happening, it is a huge sign that they are subconsciously trying to connect with you. All right, now we get to something that is wired deep into our DNA. It's called preening, and this stuff taps right into our ancient evolutionary instincts to basically puff up our feathers and present ourselves as a great potential mate. So you see someone suddenly smooth down their hair or adjust their shirt or straighten up their posture the moment you walk into their line of sight. It is so easy to just dismiss that as, basic grooming. But in the context of attraction, it's way more than that. It's a subconscious effort to look their absolute best, specifically for you. And there are some classic, though definitely not exclusive, moves here. For guys, you might see them adjusting their tie or smoothing their hair or even doing that man-spreading thing to subconsciously take up space and signal strength. For women, common tells are flipping their hair back to expose the neck, which is a vulnerable, attractive area, or maybe touching their necklace. These are ancient signals of health and vitality, and they are totally at play here. So, we've looked at the eyes, the body, the mirroring, all these individual signs. But this This next part is the most important piece of the puzzle, because any single one of these signs could just be a coincidence. The real confirmation, the proof, comes when you learn how to spot the pattern. This is, without a doubt, the biggest mistake people make. We wait for one giant, undeniable, movie moment sign. But attraction just doesn't work like that most of the time. The real truth isn't found in a single action, but in a cluster of small ones. So let's build one of these clusters. Say you notice a hair flip. Okay, by itself, that means pretty much nothing. It could be a habit, an itch, whatever. But then you also notice their torso is leaned in towards you, even from a distance. That's a sign of engagement. Okay, now things are getting a little more interesting, right? And then on top of all that, you realize their eye contact is holding for just a fraction of a second longer than normal. It's not a creepy stare, it just feels like a connection. See? That cluster, the hair flip, plus the lean, plus the eye contact, that is not a coincidence. That is a biological green light. Your intuition wasn't being crazy. It was just picking up on a pattern that your conscious mind hadn't put together yet. So let's bring it all the way back to the beginning. The next time you're in that situation, you lock eyes, they quickly look away. Don't get all flustered and look at the floor. No. Now you have the tools. Use them. Instead of looking down, look at their feet. Look at their torso. Because here's the thing, their eyes and their words might be trying to play it cool, but their body just can't lie. So the question isn't if they're interested anymore. The real question is, what is their body screaming at you? Now you finally know how to listen.